Hey everyone, how's it going? So on this episode I buy the cheapest bike on Gumtree. Now I saw this in the classifieds for 150 bucks. I contacted the owner, offered him 100 and he agreed, said yep, no problem. So I went out there, got there and saw it, and it was far worse than the photos. So you'll see it was quite rusted. You can see there's a lot of rust there, a lot of surface rust, and it really put me off the bike. And I'm now it's a lot rougher than in the flesh than what it was in the photos. Anyway, so I said, look, no, I don't want it. Anyway, he said, look, you can take it for 50 bucks. I'm there, 50 bucks, can't go wrong. That's good enough for parts. Anyway, here it is. It is a GS125. So you can see quite a lot of surface rust, which I'm going to try clean off. Yeah, on the frame, a lot of rust. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can clean the majority of this surface rust off. Anyway, well, let's have a look. You don't want to overspend on a project like this, and yeah, there was many options when I first looked into it, and I thought, oh, parts might be an issue. Turns out, because these were heavily sold in Asia and the European markets, you can get most parts for it. So tanks, body parts, which normally they're hard to come by on a bike of this era, but I found it on AliExpress. All the body panels, the tank, and they're reasonably priced. You know, I think all up is I'm looking at about $300 to get all the bits I believe I'll need to get it running. Now, I don't want to overspend, so I'm looking. There's a few options we can go for this. Option A was to get it as a get it registered and use it as a runabout, as a commuter. Option B was, well, if I couldn't get all the parts, like the body panels, I could turn it into a cafe racer. It's quite a popular model to do that to. I've seen a few pictures of it. They look all right. Not really my thing, but I do appreciate them. C, option C is turn it into a bucket racer. Now, we actually have a racing series dedicated to 100cc 2-strokes and up to 150cc 4-strokes. So this would fit in. Rego is cheap on them. You're looking at $250 for a year, or because it's over 30 years, you could potentially get it at club registered or historic Rego, and that's about 50 to 60 bucks a year. So there are options there. Anyway, they're the options. I'm going to start with the first option. I'd like to see if I can get this running. Now, there's varying degrees of winning with this. If I can't get this running at all and it's just too far gone, which, you know, to look at it you think it would be, I expect it might not. This could be an epic failure. How it won't fail is parts, rims, dash, motor. I could probably still, and the back, the rear cowling. I reckon I could get my money back and then some with it. So I don't see it as being too bad a thing, but time will tell. So plan of attack is get all the cruddy stuff off, the stuff that's beyond repair, like this reservoir, get rid of it. Take the mirrors off, just start taking bits and pieces off, expose the ignition so I can actually turn it on, hook a battery up to it. Now, everyone says there's a cost there. No, I've got a spare battery from the Ducati, which I'm going to use. Take the seat off. As I said, get rid of a lot of the cruddy parts that you just are beyond repair. So that's the first job, and that's just a case of, you know, I'm going to take the clutch lever out and just get rid of that. The lines look all right, so we'll go from there. The clutch was working, but there's bits and pieces, like they've dodged bits up on it. And you can see that. You can see it's, I don't even know if that's meant to be on there or what that's for, but I'll find out. I'm going to find this out. So if you start getting into it and it starts looking like, yep, we can salvage this, if I can get the motor to turn, I'll then go and buy the manual. The manual's about 20 bucks, 20 to 30, sorry, and I'll get that. And so go back on the plan of attack. First thing's going to be get all the cruddy bits off it, take a few of the bits off that are going to be in the way, like the seat, the rear cowling, and hook the battery up, bypass the ignition, and then see if we've got power onto it. We're going to try turn the engine over. I've actually done it, put it in gear, and it actually, you can hear the motor turning. Once I get that far, then we're going to have to spend some money. You're going to take the carby off and give it a clean. Get all the crud out. Bike looks nasty. I can only imagine what's in that carburetor. Anyway, once we've done that, I'll drop the oil out, change the filter, and then we'll try actually start it. Anyway, let's get started. Alright, so one thing I forgot to mention, budget. So I budgeted about $1,000 to get it running, registered and on road. Now I don't want to spend all that at once. You're going to try and minimise how much risk or how much it's going to cost, because there's still a substantial bit of risk on whether this will work or not. Anyway, so I was thinking it's going to cost me $1,000. Now, that's conservative, 15 at its worst. Anyway, but for $1,500 you could actually buy a Honda CB125E, which is the most popular selling bike in Australia at the moment, and you could get a second-hand one for about $1,500. So if you're after a cheap commuter, I'd go that option before I put myself through this amount of pain. So why am I doing it? Well, it's a good opportunity to learn and improve your skills. So just getting familiar with the bike, it's a simple bike to work on. It's an air-cooled motor, it's a single carbureted, single cylinder. It's just, these are the easiest 4-stroke motors to work on. Anyway, and so that's exactly what I do. I want to actually improve my own skills. Alright, so I keep everything in the box. I've taken off the bits I can probably reuse. Alright. They had actually cut this wire. They actually cut the brake wire. So you have to find that. See? Cut there. Anyway. Don't know how to fix that. That might be problematic. Anyway, we'll find out. Anyway, the only thing to do with these bits, as you can see, it's totally roached in the bin. Don't even mess with it. Next step. That's something I done earlier. Took the cover off. And I've got to get to the ignition. I'm going to take the light off to get to the ignition. Anyway, we'll soldier on. Alright, so remove the headlight, remove the seat, and blinkers, put it all in there. Now, because it's such a mess, I put all the wiring back together, but I tried to bypass the ignition, so I tried pulling the ignition apart and just broke it. It's a sealed unit, I'd say. I'm assuming that can come out, but anyway, this is without the keys, and they're not that expensive. So anyway, so I cut the cables off. I was going to try bypass it, had no luck. There's a bit of a wiring issue, so we're going to hunt that down. Now, I wanted to find out if it would actually turn and if the starter motor was any good. Alright, so that's the solenoid. So you've got a big cable going in, a big cable coming out. You follow the big cable and it will work its way around, and that's your starter motor. So what I wanted to do was actually see if it turned. The quickest way to do that is that solenoid's just like a switch. When you hit the starter button, switch shuts and the current passes through. So the solenoid could be faulty, I'm not sure. But the next way to go around it is bypass it. So you need a bit of thick gauge wire. This is about 10 to 16 mil from memory, not 100% sure. Battery side's going in. You want it from the other side, so make sure you don't touch the frame because you don't want to short it. And you just touch that, touch the positive, and very promising. You can hear the motor start, piston going up and down. That's promising. Anyway, we're going to sort out the wiring first. It's important. We're going to get that sorted, so it's just a case of hitting the starter button and we'll keep going. So I removed the ignition barrel and disconnected it. Because I don't have the key, it was I cut the cables and tried to bypass it. I had no luck, so I'm assuming those cables feed other they feed power to other sections like your indicators, lights, and all that. So what I've done, I took the ignition barrel to the wreckers. They were about to close. I left it with them, and they're going to. They believe they've got a replacement. They'll give me a call tomorrow. I'll hook up the ignition temporarily, so we've eliminated that. It's not the ignition causing us not to have lights or anything like that. Just got to go right through this and have a good look and figure out exactly what's needed. Next on the hit list, the carb. I'll be taking off that carby, giving it a good clean and cleaning the inside, because I'd say the outside looks like that. I couldn't imagine what the inside looks like. Going to clean up, just give this a light clean and just tidy up. The dash looks quite good on it, so that's reusable. I can see there's going to be a lot of sanding and painting, and if we get to that stage, happy days. I'm hoping we do. But my main focus is getting the motor running. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next vid.